Hello, everyone. Dr. Eames here. This time I'd like to talk to you about corporate social responsibility. And here you can see Carroll's global corporate responsibility pyramid. And really, what it does is take this notion of corporate social responsibility and put it in a global context. And this is certainly appropriate because business is driven today by global forces, obviously. When we talk about corporate social responsibility, it is somewhat of a controversial issue in the sense that it's at odds with classic economic theory that says businesses are created to sell goods and services and to make a profit. And businesses do not exist to solve political, social, and other types of environmental problems. Uh, but societies do change and thinking does change over time. And out of the socio-cultural segment that's out there, the context that all business operates in, there are many pressures in modern society that say, we demand that you give back something to your constituencies. And these constituencies are looked at in a much broader view than just stockholders. In fact, it is a widened perspective of stakeholders. And these stakeholders can include very specific individuals, but also very large groups of general people that you interact with as a business and who have an interest in your continued success. So it could be a stakeholder would be obviously someone like your employee, but it would also be the employee's family has a stake in your success. And so do all the suppliers and other companies that you have linkages and partnerships with and so forth. So that is really the controversy that is changing what is the nature of business? What is our thinking on that into the 21st century? And certainly there are those pressures, and corporations are responding to them in a way that says, yes, we agree. We've been able to profit and do well and succeed because of society in general. And therefore, we agree that we ought to give something back and go beyond just rewarding our stockholders with our success. So the idea of the pyramid is to really give us a graphic way to look at this concept and divide it up to understand better. And you can see the basis of the pyramid is really the economic responsibility. And that is where we find the controversy, and the very foundation is the idea that businesses exist to be profitable. If we look at it from the global perspective, it's more than just being profitable. You do what is required by capitalism on a global scale. And so that means a wider range of interactions and a much wider perspective. The next layer is the legal responsibilities that you have. On its most simplest terms, it simply means follow the law. But it's more than that as well. Um, it means that you have to be careful of what are the laws in all the places that I operate, and that you cannot go just only by the tenets of your own culture and those parameters, but you indeed have to understand other cultures, the rules in other places around the world, and you have a legal responsibility to do that on the world stage. The next layer above that is where we really start to see much more social thinking and engagement required from corporations. It's the ethical responsibility. You need to be ethical. And so being ethical is more than just following the law. It is following moral precepts and values and having those sorts of acceptable and appropriate attitudes. And that is what is expected on the global stage, that you act fairly and equitably and so forth, and that you indeed do no harm. And so there's all sorts of examples we could use to illustrate this, from big, powerful corporations operating in underdeveloped areas of the world, exploiting labor, not helping the very source of their income for products and services and so forth. And so there, right there is an example of an issue for corporate social responsibility. There are ways to help out. After all, you are doing business, and the source of your wealth would be the labor in some small place far away that has very little influence economically or politically. And then finally, at the top of the pyramid, we find our philanthropic responsibility. This doesn't necessarily have to be completely philanthropic because the word philanthropic itself, when we talk about nonprofits and so forth, it is having larger sums of money, creating foundations, doing things on a global scale. And that is not always easy. So it would be just as appropriate to call this top layer charitable responsibility because there are many smaller things that you can do. Charity and philanthropy are very similar. It's just the amount of time, energy, and money that we're devoting that separates which one we're really doing. But the idea is the same, that we want to give back. And charity and philanthropy both mean there are no strings attached, that it is freely given, that you're trying to solve some problems. So on the one side, we would say that is being a good corporate global citizen, that we do act in a charitable and philanthropic manner, that our ethics tell us to do no harm, that we seek out through our ethical stances win-win situations versus winners and losers. So charitably, philanthropically, we do what is desired by our global stakeholders. And so that means we respond to the socio-cultural sphere that's out there, to public opinion and attitudes in our actions and so forth, and what we do for society with the profits that we make. All right, folks, that's all I wanted to talk about this time. I'll talk to you again soon.